What careers or jobs most attract psychopaths? Best comments. I was a carny. I don't know which came first. The drugs are psychotic behavior, but I witnessed both in bulk. Craziest experience you've had as a carny? Go. Please. Everything we did was slightly illegal, so it's hard to scale it after it feels so normal. But long story short, Elm's still in possession of another man's teeth, after he almost got us all busted by doing stupid shit right outside the bunk house. Raleigh, North Carolina. I was catching a ride out of town. The place that was living had no outlet for my creative nature. So I gave away most everything owned and got a job when the fare came through town. Got paid to see the East Coast and a free ride to Pittsburgh, which is where the old boss houses his stuff in the off-season. It was a means to an end, and it actually worked out perfectly. I've since relaunched my art thing and volunteer full-time at a local non-profit educational center, make shop, and partner with another non-profit anti-poverty facility that I donate art to, and they sell it to fund their mission. I'd never been to Pittsburgh before, so I'm really glad I did it. This place is awesome. But I digress. If you want, check out my post history for some of my art and electronics work. Be warned, you may have to sift through some political opinions of mine. Holy Sheedy woke up famous. I'll try and respond to all you personally, but here's a few blankets. Karini is a worker that travels with the carnival circuit. Don't have an online store yet, but you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Red Right Hand Arts. Thank you for all the kind words, I really appreciate it. Homeowners Association President. One of my favorite anecdotes. Dennis Rader, a notorious serial killer known as BTK, stopped committing murders after he got a job enforcing law rules. Because he got as much satisfaction harassing people over pretty bullshit as he did from torturing and murdering his victims. He was a compliance officer with the city council, not within law, but yes, he was notorious for writing people up for petty bullshit. He also really liked getting people's dogs destroyed for no reason. Fuck public accounting. Get a degree in accounting, potentially a master's, pass 4 of the hardest professional exams out there, and become a CPA to work 70-hour weeks from Jan-April while being paid like $13 an hour after dividing your weekly pay by hours worked, all while receiving daily emails about maintaining work-life balance. Everyone pretends like working 14-plus-hour days back-to-back is totally acceptable, actually 16 hours, but you only billed 14, so that's all they care about. I once told my senior that I needed a mental break after she tried giving me work at 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday night after billing 56 hours in 4 days, and then proceeded to be chewed out by that senior and a manager. I'm seriously getting stressed out just writing this. I did 2 busy seasons in public accounting, and the people that succeed at these places are truly soulless. Also, roughly 80% of public accountants are alcoholics who think getting wasted is a hobby, personality trait. These corporations literally spend billions of dollars to trick college students into thinking that sacrificing your life expectancy for them is the only way to be successful in life. My advice to accounting students: don't drink the KOOL-8. That was a great summary of my 2 years in public accounting. Never again. On the bright side, it has opened up a lot of job opportunities, but those years were awful. Boy, do I feel this. After 4 years at a very large national firm, I was so burnt out and my depression was palpable. I could barely bring myself to go to work. I ended up getting fired. I refused to ever work in public accounting again. I loathed it. After this, I had 2 corporate accounting jobs that ended in layoffs, but I did learn corporate accounting wasn't for me. Then a friend talked me into working for his old small local firm of -20 employees. I worked part-time during tax season as I had a 1-year-old at home. Wow, what a difference. I worked 2 more busy seasons and then I went year-round and full-time. It's been 2.5 years now and I love it. It's a great place to work where I feel actually appreciated and where they truly support work-life balance. I am never expected to respond to emails or phone calls after normal working hours. It's literally night and day from my first post-college job. I am in my late 30s and I can see myself working at this firm until retirement. The pay isn't as high as the big firms, but it's worth having actual work-life balance and feeling appreciated and respected. You're just slow, bruh. Try adding cocaine to your morning joe. Worked Big 4 for 3 years and it made me seriously hate life. The people are nice, but legitimately don't understand humans, don't care about their mental, physical, emotional, social health. Like not in the slightest. Leaving that place is still a career highlight for me. That's crazy because in undergrad they make it seem like working for one of the big four is like the peak of your career. Really? I know nothing about accounting but I'm very curious now. It's because generally speaking, staff are treated as expendable and paid very poorly despite the high amount of education and massive workload they have. Most people burn out within a few years after uni and switch to industry for 25% more pay for 25% less work. The handful that can take the stress for 10 to 20 years make partner, finally get the big bucks, suck the life out their staff and the cycle continues. Many of the people who excel in this environment might meet the criteria of a psychopath. The partner carrot is a long, ion con in public accounting, external auditing. At least it is now. You get wheeled in and told every partner was once you, a staff auditor. Nobody got to where they are without wearing your shoes first. Work hard, get the audits out, and one day this will be you. You could say the same about consulting in a lot of cases. Definitely. A lot of professional firms are like this. Just in my experience compared to friends in law, engineering etc. there's something off about accounting. Despite the stress, many people appear happy and friendly. Until they burn out of course, turnover is ridiculously high. The environment is wicked toxic too. My family friend worked for a consulting firm for a year before leaving to go back to grad school. She said the toxicity in the teams on assignments is horrendous. Cutthroat culture to a degree. People are way overworked, and the pay does not reflect it until you get to higher levels. When I first started, we had a room designated for personal space, time if someone needed it during the day. It was only ever used when the staff or seniors broke down crying from the stress of the job. Dealing with shitty clients and working 70 to 90 hours a week takes a big toll on you. Not to mention the interoffice politics and people constantly throwing each other under the bus. I witnessed a senior auditor completely screw over a staff auditor who had been working there less than 6 months over something that wasn't even the staff's responsibility, but she pinned it on him anyway to try to cover her own ass. The people who make partner must be psychopaths to stay in the industry long enough to get there. There's been a study on this. It included corporate executives but also surgeons and chefs, both of whose work tends not to require not much actual socialization, or at least only with subordinates, not customers who have to be greeted pleasantly. Am a chef. Can confirm. Chefs. I have worked in high-end kitchens and can confirm this. Chefs are fucking monsters and I've genuinely wished death on every single one I've ever worked for while working under them. Afterwards I always come to realize and remember that it's almost necessary in their line of work. Still though. Truly some of the worst people I've ever met. I'd guess that's largely because you worked in high-end kitchens. I consciously avoid those environments, and my experience with chefs has been overwhelmingly positive. It takes a different personality to run a Michelin star restaurant than a greasy spoon. Not entirely true. Thomas Keller is somewhat famously on record saying that it's a horseshit way to run a kitchen. Worked with many a surgeon. We used to wonder about some of them, especially the one who worked with some of the assistants for 10 plus years and didn't know their names. This guy would walk through the halls and not really even acknowledge your presence. He truly didn't care about others. His motto was pain is the patient's problem. Spending almost a decade after grad school's working grueling 100 plus weeks does not sound like a lifestyle that attracts people. Surgeons work 100 plus hours a week. How come anyone ever survives a surgery? Can vouch for this. Uncle is a retired surgeon. Would sometimes work for days straight with a couple of catnaps squeezed in if there was time. I remember being shocked by this too, but his wife, who is a nurse, said it's extremely common, the expectation for surgeons. And that they just get used to it and accept that sleep deprivation isn't an excuse for mistakes. Seems crazy to me. It's absolutely absurd. We're not allowed to drive when impaired, but for the people who cut you open it's a requirement. It's also striking to see people on here claiming to be doctors and saying no, sleep deprivation doesn't affect me at all. Because the surgeon has been working 100 hours 100 eeks since forever. I could do this in my sleep, isn't that much of an exaggeration? Yeah, my dad is a general surgeon and he's worked plenty of 100 plus hour weeks. When I was growing up he regularly was working 70 to 80 hour weeks. Made me not want to do medicine at all. For those wondering, there's 168 hours in a week. I wonder what he did with the extra 9 hours in a day. Got a great line from my grandma about surgeons. You need two traits to be heart surgeon. You need to be strong enough to break ribs, and you need to be enough of a narcissist to think you're good enough to put a human back together. Okay, but this is legit real. My mom's orthopedic surgeon said, the only person who could do this surgery better is God. I do admin work for an orthopedic practice, and while the doctors there wouldn't actually say something like that, most of them definitely have a God complex. I think ortho, neuro, and cardio are the worst on that front. Gen Surg and gyno are nowhere near as bad. My uncle is a non-violent psychopath. He was a very successful stockbroker, retired at 50, has a house that overlooks the beach where they shot Baywatch. Has never helped a single person in his family. Only helps people, strangers he can leverage into more social status. One of the most miserable people I've ever met in my whole life. He has no remorse for anything he says to anyone and can change from being a fun guy to a dick at the drop of a hat. Every time I read John Ronson I think, someone misspelled Ron Johnson, and that happens every time I randomly see his name. Every time. Sales. It's known that psychopaths excel in sales because they do whatever they can to get ahead. Learned about it in psych in my undergrad and it always stuck with me. Edit, I've worked sales jobs myself, so I'm not judging anyone at all, I am just relaying information I recalled from my undergrad. My dad is a born salesman, people always said. He's a total psychopath and a fucked up weirdo. My dad is a born salesman, people always said. What a backhanded compliment that is. The only thing worse is natural politician.